Hello everyone, Ben here with a solo game of At the Gates of Loyang. The setup for the solo game is slightly different to normal game. Your area is pretty much the same as normal, however you do have to place out two casual helpers, casual visitors, two regular visitors, and then two market stalls. And this is simply because some of the helper cards utilize other people's cards, so this is basically simulating another player which you can then do stuff with if the helper so determines. And then additionally as well, you also have 12 cards laid out in this particular fashion, and this is going to replace the card phase in that normally you would draw cards from the deck and then play them with other people. However, in the solo game, you have 12 cards laid out and you simply buy them, or buy your two cards from this particular area. And we'll see how that works when we get to it fairly soon. And then once you've done the various alternate setup pieces, then you can plant your home field as normal. And this is kind of fortunate that we do this first, because then we get to see what cards are available and we can actually tailor our home field to what we might want to grab in the card phase. So radishes are probably a good idea looking at these visitors. We could trade for the onions. Yep. I don't believe any of the helpers are particularly great. We probably don't want to pay 2 coins for them to start off with anyway, so yeah, okay, I think that's a plan. So what we'll do is we'll spend 5 coins, we'll buy a radish from our market area, and then once this is planted in our field, we then get to populate the rest of the spaces with exactly the same vegetable. So it fills up like this, which is great. Good, and then that is set for the rest of the game. So we harvest one of these every round, and therefore you can see, based on how many you've got left, how far along the game is. So it's a handy turn reminder as well. And then we can start playing the game properly. So we have 9 rounds, and each round is broken up into the same phases, and you can see them on the turn summary card here. So at least in the harvest phase, we get to harvest 1 vegetable from our fields if we had more, and place it onto our storage card there. And then we can flip over from our private fields a new one that comes out, and then we can plant, or we can put vegetables into this during the round if you want to do so. Then we go into card phase, and this is going to be deviating from what's laid out onto the turn summary, in that we're not going to draw cards from here, we're not going to have a courtyard or anything like that. This is now our available area, so we can buy these for 0 coins, which is great. These cost 1, and then rows 3 and 4 cost 2. So I think we were probably going to go for this one, so that seems fine. And then we'll grab this one here, and that's going to cost us 1. So not too bad. And this is our maximum of 2 cards that we can have, and then we just place them out in the relevant areas. So if the card layout itself wasn't a giveaway as to what type of card this was, there is also the icon in the top left, which also determines exactly where it goes in your relevant area. And especially with the trader, we can then populate that with the various vegetables that we can trade for. And the helper needs a happiness indicator, or possibly not so happy, we'll see. And then we're done with the card phase. Well, not quite actually. So the second row gets moved into the discard, and then everything else gets shuffled up to fill in the spaces, and then we repopulate from the draw deck as normal. And that's then available for round 2, so we can have a bit of a peek at what's coming up, and we can probably buy and sell vegetables and plant fields, taking this into account, and hopefully making the best use out of it. So fine. And then we're into the action phase, and similar to a normal game, you get to basically do all the actions as many times as much as you like, and when you're finished you just pass. So we can certainly probably therefore buy some wheat, which is going to cost 3. I don't know why I put it into the supply. It needs to go into our area here, because well, skipping ahead a bit, what we're then going to do is take the wheat and we'll trade it in with our trader. And you can see below the vegetable, the number of bowls indicate how many particular vegetables you need to trade for whatever's on top. So we can trade 1 wheat, and that will grant us this vegetable, which again goes into our supply. But we can plant that straight out onto our field and do thus. So now we have a nice supply of these, and then this will get this visitor's demands all met when we come to servicing his vegetable demands. That's going to have to wait until next round, unfortunately. So he is going to be slightly unhappy this turn, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it. I don't believe, no. And we could trade the radish for a vegetable as well, but there's no point in doing so. We've got no other fields to plant. We could buy a 2-pack. So basically, buying a 2-pack is you get to do this once per round, and you get the top 2 cards from the draw pile, and you can place them out, or you can choose how many you want, and then you place them out into your area. It is going to cost us money though. It's going to cost us 1 coin, because the cost of a 2-pack is basically the most of either market stalls or helpers of which you have. So we have 1 market stall, so it's going to cost us 1 coin. If we had 0 of everything, it would cost us 0 coins. But that does mean then we couldn't move up on the path of prosperity, and we kind of want to do that because that's how we get victory points and winning the game, basically. So I think we'll skip on that part. We might do that in a future round, certainly. And we're just going to pass. We've done everything we want to do. So this guy, unfortunately, is a bit unhappy. He is allowed to, you are allowed to ignore his demands once, but then every round where you ignore his demands thereafter, he starts to charge you money. I'm not quite sure why he charges you money, but there we go. And then we can spend 1 coin to move up on the path of prosperity, so we'll do that. And then future moves up the path would cost that amount of the next step in money. But since we're only going to do the 1 step, that's fine. Does, however, leave us with no money whatsoever, but there we go. And then we're done. Oh, that's interesting. I might have to take out a loan then. Well, we'll see about that when we come to it next round. So we're done with the round, and then we simply move on to the next one again, starting with the harvest phase. So we get 1 of each vegetable. Oh, I should have pointed out, we can successfully store this radish over 1 turn, because we have 1 space available in our storage area. We would have to spend 2 coins and flip this card over if we wanted to store more than 1. Excuse me. If we wanted to store more than 1, up to 4. But for the time being, we can certainly store 1 radish, and then have that move over into a market cart for the next round. And then these 2, when we harvest them, can also move into a cart. And there's no limit to the amount of vegetables you can have in your cart in the storage area during a round. So that's fine. And then we need a new field, and that looks fine. We could plant something in that, certainly. Okay. Then we go into card phase, and unfortunately we have no coins. So basically we're relegated to grabbing cards from the top row only, or we could take a loan, which would give us money and therefore buy other cards, but that would then cost us steps on the path of prosperity. So at the end of the game, we'll flip over this loan card. Every loan card you have when you come to final score basically moves your marker back 1 space. so you're not quite as prosperous as you thought you were. However, looking at this, we might just grab cards from the 0 row. We could certainly plant more radishes, which might get this guy sorted. Yeah, he might have to wait one turn, but we could probably get him supplied. And maybe we don't have to buy 2 cards. We could just buy 1 card, or we could even buy no cards, I believe. You can buy up to 2 basically. So we could just grab this guy here and have him sit around for a time until such time as we have the relevant vegetables, which might be worth it. In fact, actually, I think what we'll do is we'll grab both of these. So we'll have 0 coins to spend, that's fine. We can grab these 2 cards and they'll just go into the relevant areas. Like so, and then the second row gets moved into discard and everything else shuffles up. So that is, and we're going to have some coins now coming in, so we can certainly grab some cards next round, I believe. And those are available. So we might want to plant pumpkins, maybe might be an idea. We'll have to see. Okay, so that's done anyway for the time being. And we're on to action phase. So what we're going to do definitely is give the vegetables to this guy here. And he gives us 5 coins. So that's money we can start using. We don't have anything to satisfy this customer's demands, but he's quite happy to sit around. He doesn't have an unhappiness marker tracking his unhappiness, so he will wait until the end of the game if necessary and beyond if we don't have the stuff for him, so that's fine. We have 1 radish, and it might be worth... Unfortunately, what I would have liked to have is a field which allows me to plant leeks, I believe these are. But as you can see in the top of the field here, it specifically tells you what vegetables you can and can't plant in a particular field. So we can't plant leeks in that, which is kind of what I was hoping for. But we could plant radishes, and that would just give us extra radishes for various and sundry bits and pieces. In fact, what we might want to do, it's a bit of a waste, is trade for... We could trade for beans, and we could plant beans. Yeah, I think that's probably a better idea. If nothing else, it's worth more coins if we sell it to the market. So sure, we'll go to our trader and we'll trade a radish for a bean, which comes onto our card, and then we can plant it straight out onto our field, and we'll get those harvesting like so. We don't have a particular use for these, but like I said, if nothing else, we can sell it to the market for a bit more than radishes are worth. So sure. And we're done. Don't think we've got anything else we want to do. No, not particularly. Okay. So we're going to pass, and we're going to spend 1 coin now, which gives us 4 and change, and we can move up 1 more step. And we could spend our 4 coins and move up to the 4th space, but I think we're going to save these for the card phase next round, so we'll leave it at that. So back to harvesting. We're going to harvest various and sundry vegetables. We're going to flip over a new field. This could be leeks. No, that's even worse. That's only up to radishes. Right. Well, we could put wheat in that if necessary. That might be useful. Yeah, that could be useful actually. Okay. Then we come to card phase, and we've got some coins. We could buy some cards. We don't want this particular help because we haven't got enough vegetables to deliver twice to our regular customers. This customer would make use of the beans we're starting to accumulate, but we don't have any other. We could buy a pumpkin actually. Could trade and buy a pumpkin, and then we only have the leeks to worry about. Actually, yeah, we might want to grab this this customer, and that's going to cost us 0, that's fine. Do we want to grab anyone else? This one would make use of wheat, but I don't think we're going to be planting wheat anytime soon. Exchange this helper for... No, we don't. We could buy this helper and then exchange him for a helper which would cost more. Refill all your market stores with vegetables. No, not necessarily. Nope, I don't want to do that. We could buy a field. We're possibly low on fields, but that would take all of our money. And we could trade, but we've got a plan for trading as it is anyway. We might grab this card. Again, it's going to cost more, and I hope that... What have we got so far? 4, 5, 6, so a 3 has to come up. Yep, okay, so we're okay on fields. Basically, what I was working through was we're going to need a field for leeks at some point, I think. So we could buy this one, but it's going to cost 2 for the row it's in, and in addition to that, when you buy common fields, you have to spend 2 on the field anyway itself. So that would basically take all of the money. What I was looking at with these fields is your stack of private fields is split into 2 piles, as it were. You have a 3, 4, and a 3, 4, 5, and a 6 field in one pile, and then the same again in a second pile. And the piles are shuffled but kept separate, and then placed in a stack of 8 into your fields here. So we can tell now that we've had the 4, the 5, and the 6 out, that the next field up is going to be the 3, and that will allow us to plant leeks anyway. So we're going to get a field which accommodates our needs to planting leeks. We don't have to necessarily buy it right now and waste all that money. So yeah, a bit convoluted, but there we go. So I think we're just going to save all our money. We won't buy anything else from the cards. We'll just have this one here, which didn't cost us anything, and they can wait around until such time as we accommodate their needs with the various vegetables that we're getting. So good. Card phase is reset. Oops. That's a lot of helpers. Maybe we can make use of some of them. Possibly. Maybe make use of the delivery one, actually. Yeah, we'll see. We can leave them for the time being, though they're not going to bother us for the moment. And then we're on to action phase. So we are going to, again, deliver to our regular customer. And this is pretty much set up now until he's successfully sorted, because we're going to get regular vegetables coming in and we can accommodate his needs with the vegetables. What we might want to do now is we're going to need pumpkins at some point. So we can probably trade this bean for a pumpkin. We can't plant it, unfortunately, because this field does not allow planting of beans. It only allows wheat, pumpkins, and radishes. So we could certainly go for the pumpkin, which I think is probably the best idea at the moment. So we'll do that. We'll swap out, and then this can get planted straight away. So we'll skip ahead ever so slightly. We could have bought the pumpkin, but I think we want to save our money for other bits and pieces. So we'll leave that like that. We could probably buy the wheat at some point if we need to, because that doesn't cost a whole lot, and we only need the one at the moment. So sure. And then we've got pumpkins coming in now, and we can save the leeks for later because we have the trader, which will allow us to trade at our opponent's market stall up here. And then when the field comes out, then we can plant that leek and get them harvested as well, which allows us to clear out all of these guys. So yeah, future's looking pretty good. And we've got some money, so we may very well skip ahead an extra step on the path this time. Are we going to pass now? We could buy a 2-pack. We could spend 1 coin. So basically, market stalls and helpers each have 1 card in them. So whichever one, it's going to be 1 coin for buying the 2-pack. Which would mean we would spend 1 and then a 5 to get on the path of prosperity, which leaves us 3 coins for the end of the or coming into the next card phase. And can we do stuff with 3 coins? We could get this regular customer for 1 coin. Otherwise they're going to go away. Which is not too bad. I think I'd rather save my money and wait for this one to come down, because we're going to have pumpkins coming through later on. And it might be worth actually just, yeah, saving the money. Maybe we'll pick up this trader for free, just as an aside. So yes, I think what we will do is actually we'll buy a 2-pack. We don't have much we want to spend the money on for the card face. There's no reason to save a lot of it. So we'll spend 1 coin. We'll grab ourselves a 2-pack, which is 2 cards. And do we like the look of these cards? Not particularly. The trader is fine. We can certainly keep him. The regular customer, we might have enough leaks coming through later on, but not necessarily the wheat. Well, we'll keep both of them, and what we'll do to hold off our regular customer for the time being is put them this way round. So if you keep both of your cards from your 2-pack, you have to put one on top of the other, and then they go in the relevant space. So we'll do it this way round, and we'll have our market stall on top of a regular customer, and the regular customer therefore won't come into effect until the market stall has been cleared out. This one has indeed been cleared out, so they should have gone to discard. And we can put them like that, and therefore we can hold off, and hopefully at some point before we've exhausted the market stall, we'll have the wheat and the leaks coming through that we can supply to this customer now. And that's fine. So good, we're all done with that. And I believe we're going to pass then. I think we've done everything we want to do. So yep, we'll pass. We'll spend 1 coin to move up 1 step, and then we'll spend 5 coins to move up to step number 5. So we're going up there reasonably quickly. Could be a bit faster, but at least we've not stalled at the moment. So sure. Going into the next harvest phase, we get all of our relevant vegetables. We're not having problems with storage at the moment, so that's fine. And we get, so there's the field that I said was going to come up with the leeks available to plant in it. So now we just have to trade for them, and then we'll be fine. And on to the card phase, and what did I say we were probably going to do? Probably going to go for this market stall. It is going to bump up the cost if you want to buy another 2-pack at some point, but for the time being that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So that's going to cost us nothing. And then I kind of forgot what my train of thought was with the other stuff, but I think we can probably hold off for the time being on getting anything else. I don't think we're that strapped for cards that we have to grab something, and we're going to hold off and grab this guy when he becomes a bit cheaper, I believe. So sure. So these guys go out. This all comes up. So got these coming out. Again, not particularly fussed by any of them, really. That might be useful. It has a slightly different ability in the solo game, which might come in handy, so I'll have to look at that possibly. And shopper might come in handy as well. But we'll see, that's for another time, I believe. So on to actions. We're again going to supply our regular customer with the stuff that he needs and get our 7 coins. Now then, using our trader ability, we can trade one of our vegetables, and we can trade it to another player's market stall, so it's going to be up here now, and we could trade our bean probably for the leek that we need. I think if we're planning on getting this customer satisfied at some point, we're going to need pumpkins, so we'll save the pumpkins so we could use the bean. and trade it for the leek. And then we can plant the leek straight away. And then next round, we can probably get this customer sorted. Yeah. And then the trader's been used up, so he can go onto the discard pile. And, oh, and I should have put out vegetables for this trader here. Okay. So good, all done I believe. We're going to pass, we've got one vegetable, we can store it safely in our storage area. I don't think we wanted to trade it. Even if we did trade it, we couldn't plant it anywhere successfully, so it would just be another vegetable sitting around either way. So we'll leave it at that. We can spend 1 coin to move up, and we can spend 7 coins, but then that leaves us only 2 coins left. Do we want to... Again, I'm not particularly fussed by... If we use a delivery mode, we do have pumpkins, we do have beans coming up. We can actually deliver to this guy here. Yeah, so that would be 0 coins, that wouldn't be too bad. And the messenger boy, we don't have the vegetables to supply to twice to our regular customers, so no, and I don't think we're going to be making use of. Maybe grab him at some point when we have enough stockpile of radishes that we can actually satisfy his demands, so he can sit around. So, yeah, we might very well just grab the deliveryman then, I think, and nothing else. We don't want to refill, we don't necessarily need this field, I think we're okay on field at the moment. And we've got enough casual customers, I think, coming through, we don't need to grab that one either. And we're certainly not going to spend 2 for any of these just yet, we'll probably wait until they become a bit cheaper. So yeah, we can actually pay 7, I believe, and move ourselves up an additional step, like so, and then we'll just keep the rest of the money left over. So back into harvesting, and as you can see, things tick through fairly quickly once you kind of know what you're doing. And we need another field out, like so, and that allows us to plant up to radishes. We could trade for radish and then plant again. We could plant more pumpkins. Okay, well we could even buy the wheat and start planting wheat. That's not too bad at all, actually. Right then, on to the card phase, and I did say we were going to get this deliveryman for free, so we'll grab him. And I don't think we're going to spend anything for any of the other cards, so we'll clear out this row. Next round, we definitely want to grab this helper here, I believe. So we'll need to save enough money at least for that. Okay, and then on to actions. So we're going to make our last regular delivery to our customer. So no more easy money coming in, I'm afraid. And he has been successfully, his order has been successfully completed, so all the vegetables come off his card. And he can go to the discard. Right then, what do we have kicking around otherwise? We do have the necessary vegetables we can actually deliver to this customer here. And then we could spend 3. Oh, and this needs to go into the card area. And we could spend 3, we could buy some wheat and then plant out some wheat. Alternatively, we could use a pumpkin and trade for wheat, but I think we're going to need extra pumpkins, so fair enough. And... he's sorted. We're going to plant wheat for this guy. We're going to have another white onion coming through. We're going to have another leek coming through, so that guy will be sorted as well. With regards to regular customers, we're going to have wheat and pumpkins for this guy. We've got radishes, but not too many beans for that guy. We might have to try and probably buy a field if we don't get one through, just so we can maybe get this customer sorted as well. So, okay, let's see then. If we're going to service this customer. So we've got the necessary vegetables. This is just a one-time transaction. And they're going to pay us some money. And if you don't remember the formula, on the back of the loan cards, there is a handy reminder of exactly which way round it is. So casual customers, we have more casual customers than regular customers. So unfortunately we get -2 on whatever they're paying us. So they're going to normally pay us 11. Unfortunately it is -2 at this point. So we only get 9. But still, that's better than nothing. So 5 and then 4 is 9. And then all this goes away and we have completed their order. So a bit of extra money, not too bad. We can now definitely pay 3, I believe, to get that wheat from our market area, and we can straight away plant it into our field and we'll have regular wheat coming through for the rest of the game. Like so, which is good. That's going to get these guys fulfilled next round. And if we grab at least 1 regular customer, possibly 2, then the equation will work out in our favour if we satisfy this customer next round, and we'll get +2 for his delivery. So good. And then we can save the delivery man, and at some point we'll probably make a delivery of maybe pumpkins up to this customer here. So yeah, that's not too bad. And we've got sufficient coins that we can spend 1 coin. So I think we're going to pass now. And we've got 1 coin, like so, and then 9 coins, yep. And up to there. So we're getting there, but not possibly fast enough, but we'll see. So we're going to pass now, properly. We're going to go into the next harvest phase. So that, and we've cleared out some fields now, so we're going to have a bit of a shuffle. And all these vegetables, like so. So these vegetables, these fields are done with, so they come out. And I'll put a new one out before I forget. And is it going to be helpful to us? Possibly. Yeah, leeks could be good planted in that field, or beans even. So yeah, that's not too bad, I think. And then we're going to have a shuffle. So basically in the solo game, well, in the normal game, once you've come up to a card phase, you reshuffle in the discard pile every card phase. In the solo game, once you have successfully fully harvested one of your fields and it goes back off the board, then you do a one-time only shuffle again of the discard back into the card deck. So we'll do that one-time shuffle and then we can ignore that basically for the rest of the game. So I'll try and get a decent shuffle here, but it probably doesn't matter too much, just as long as there's some randomizing going on. And then this will be the card deck that we use for the rest of the game. Okay. So we've got a card deck now, and then that's going to serve us the rest of the game, so we can go on to the card phase as normal. And I did say we were going to probably grab these to help us, didn't I? So definitely this one, we've got the wheat and we've got the pumpkins coming through, so we can certainly satisfy this customer straight away if necessary on a regular basis. So we'll grab them for 1 coin. And probably this one, although we might have to hold off 1 round just so we can get a regular bean income. Well, maybe not. We could probably trade for the bean if necessary. So I think we'll get this one as well. So that's going to be free. And I don't think we want anyone else. The shopper might have come in handy if we grabbed him before for getting a cheap vegetable, but never mind. And then all these are going to get cleared out anyway. Yeah, that's probably about right. So we'll do that like so. And then like that. And okay, so we've got another regular customer, which we might be able to do. Sorry, casual customer, and a regular one which wants beans and leeks, which we are going to be having some spare of. So yeah, it might be a card to grab when it gets a bit cheaper as well. So okay, that's not too bad. And then these guys just go into the area here, and we need to get the relevant markers for them. So I think unfortunately this guy may very well become unhappy. We'll have to see. Okay, so then we want to... We probably want to plant... We've got one white onion. So we've got one white wheat, one white onion, and one leek. We don't necessarily need more leeks. We are going to have this customer coming up, but maybe not for a couple of turns, in which case we might only want to serve them once and then that'll be the end of the game. So that's fine. Although we have a field which allows us to plant leeks as the maximum crop, so we might want to just plant that just for the sake of it. There's not necessarily a rush on this guy. He's going to stick around for a while, so we can hold off on getting the money for him. We probably want to, in fact, utilise our wheat and our pumpkin for this customer, so he doesn't go unhappy as well. And maybe plant the beans in this field, simply to have enough bean generation for this customer. Interesting. Decisions. We're going to have enough radishes coming through, that's fine. We're going to have enough pumpkins coming through, so that's okay. Wheat is fine. Leeks, again, we could probably just get away with maybe one more leek, so we don't have to worry too much. We could trade for a leek if we're desperate and we want to spend 2 vegetables to get 1 vegetable. And we're probably not trading on this card quick enough to activate the customer underneath for wheat and leeks as well. So we could probably just leave them to sit at the bottom there. So yes, I think what we'll do actually is this guy can just hang around for probably another turn, and we'll get around to the next turn. We will use the pumpkin and the wheat to satisfy this customer, and that will grab us 4 coins. And then the beans, I think, will get planted. So unfortunately this customer is going to be unhappy for 1 turn. We could trade for the bean. Okay, what we'll do then is we'll spend our radish and our bean here, and we'll get 6 coins there. And then we'll use our... We need to save that. We need to save that. We can use the pumpkin. So we'll use the pumpkin over here to trade for the bean, and then we'll get that planted on our field there. So it's a bit of a waste of a field, unfortunately, but not too much. And then that will give us enough beans to get this guy sorted throughout the turns. And done. Unfortunately, this does mean if we're saving these 2, we have to spend to upgrade our storage area. And I think that is probably... Well, we could always sell the leek back to the market, but no, I don't think that's worth it. So we'll spend 2, and we'll flip our card over. And now we have enough storage space for these 2, and what have we got in coins? 13, so that would be 1 and then 11, so a total of 12. So we'd have 1 coin to use on the card phase next round. So basically we're relegated to buying from this area here, which is fine. We don't necessarily want to spend more money on these until they become cheaper. So subsistence farmer again has a solo only rule, where we get a cheaper wheat, a pumpkin or a turnip. Oh, are these turnips? I've been calling them radishes. Never mind. Do we want to get anything cheaper on that phase? I don't believe so. No, not necessarily. Especially if we're going to have to pay 1 coin for it anyway, so essentially it's going to be spending 2 coins to get a wheat, a pumpkin or a turnip. I don't think we have enough for this guy yet, so we can leave him. We don't want to spend 1 and then 2 for a field, so we can leave off that. we could probably just... That might be useful to get an extra bit of... yeah, okay, I think we might get the ploughman then in the next card phase and not have to spend any money at all. And maybe one of these for one, we'll see. So, okay, what we can do then is we can pass, we've done all the bits and pieces we want to do, we supplied customers, so they're fine. We will indeed spend 1 coin, and then 11 coins, like so. And we've got 1 coin left over, which should be fine, I think, for the card phase, and we're on to harvesting. So, harvesting, harvest. This field is now used up, and we don't do another reshuffle of the discard, that just gets put off. And then these two, and a new one out, and okay. And we're into cards then. So I think, yeah, we're going to get the ploughman, and that doesn't cost us anything. Do we want the tout? Buy a... We could exchange a casual customer, but I think our casual customers are actually doing fairly well for what we've got. Or we could buy a casual customer for another player for 2 and serve them immediately. The 2 casual customers available are this guy, which wants wheat and white onions, which we don't really have in abundance. This guy wants wheat, radishes, beans, but we've already got a regular customer which wants radishes and beans, so no. I don't think his ability is going to be particularly useful. Subsistence farmer again, spending 1 just to spend another 1 for basically something we don't necessarily need is probably not worth it. Can't afford the field. Are we going to have enough vegetables to satisfy one of our regular customers twice? That's the only reason why we get this messenger boy. No, I don't think so. So, no. If we grab him, though, what happens to these? Nothing that isn't going to already happen, I believe. We're going to get this one at some point, I think. Maybe, maybe not. And that's going to go all the way down to there. This one, we can certainly wait on holding off on that one. So I think we're okay. We don't have to necessarily accelerate cards going up the rows to make them cheap at the moment. We can hold off for the time being. So we'll simply do that and move stuff up as normal. We do have to then therefore buy this one next round. Well, fine, okay. Or else we lose it, basically. But never mind. We'll work on that when we get to it. Right then, so on to actions. So then, we've got the wheat, we've got that, we've got the leek, that's fine, we've got that and that. Again, we're only generating 1 wheat, that's the problem. That is the problem. Well, we could make this customer unhappy for 1 turn. And that should be fine. Yeah, and he needs to go into there. So, okay, we'll probably just hold off and make this customer unhappy for 1 turn, and then that should be fine. So, those, then holding over this lot, which we can maybe trade or put to better use somewhere else. Quite possibly trade, actually. Well, we'll see. Anyway. So, sure, we're going to serve this customer here with the relevant vegetables. And we do now, at this point, have less casual customers than regular customers. So he will give us a bonus of 2 this time. So we're going to get 12, sorry. Which is good. So that's all that sorted. This guy is not going to get his needs met, unfortunately, so he's going to have to become unhappy for 1 turn, but that should be okay. We should be able to get to him next turn. This guy is going to have that lot delivered, so that is going to be 7 coins, which is fine. And he stays happy, and then we've got a pumpkin and a leek left over, and Deliver to another player's regular customer and take the proceeds yourself. So extra pumpkin here. Unfortunately, we don't have the bean, and we've run out of beans on our market stalls, so we might have to do something about that maybe. We could do a leek and a bean here, but that's no good either. And then Ploughman says, so maybe when we get down to one more vegetable, we could harvest all vegetables, which might be pretty good. Or we could get rid of something we don't have much use for and then replant the field. But I think unfortunately we have much use for pumpkins and much use for beans. So we could just plant more pumpkins really. And then trade, I guess. So yeah, okay. Well, it's going to sit around not doing much use otherwise, so we may as well plant and then trade at some point. So sure, we'll do that. And we'll save the leek, and that can sit around. We can't plant the leek, unfortunately the field doesn't allow it, but never mind. And we're going to pass. So then, it's going to cost us this time 1 coin and then 13 coins. That's fine, we can afford that. So 1 coin and then 13, which is good. We've still got money to satisfy going up multiple steps. And we're done there, and we're over to harvesting. So we're getting close on rounds. We haven't got that many left, unfortunately. We have one final field coming out. We don't get another private field coming out for the final round. That's it, really. And we're on to the card phase. So let me think. Can we trade for the bean? We cannot trade for the bean. We could if we grab this guy as well. Okay. Well, we don't have much else in the way of utilizing vegetables, so fine, we'll grab this person for 1. And I think unfortunately all relevant vegetables which would help out this customer are actually being utilized in other ways for our other customers and other bits and pieces. So not much use for him, unfortunately. We could make use of this market stall, however, which would allow us to trade for the bean, which we could utilize for this regular customer. A lot better than buying it anyway, I think. So yeah, we'll grab it. That's going to cost us another 1. So that is 4 and change. And then that goes away, and these all shuffle up. Like so. And then these can go into the relevant areas. We've got more market stalls than I know what to do with, honestly, but never mind. And then this customer, I think, may very well have to go, excuse me, this customer may very well have to go unhappy for 1 turn. Well, no, we could probably manage it. Let's have a look then. We're into action phases, so wheat and pumpkin is fine. Radish and bean is fine. Leek, and then if we trade the pumpkin for another bean, that is also fine. But then we're all out of vegetables, and it might be worth planting in this field. But then again, we're coming up to the end of the round, so, or the end of the game even. So saving a vegetable to just plant it and then harvest 1 vegetable isn't particularly worth it. Unless we can make best use of the ploughman, we could basically immediately harvest vegetables from these 2 fields, not the home field. And then also plant 1 in here, which would give us probably, what, 1 vegetable left over, or a surplus of 1 which we wouldn't otherwise have. but there's no point. There's no point over harvesting now when we get to harvest it the next round anyway, and then that's going to be it anyway. So ploughman is probably not the best use. Is it worth? No, I don't think making use of him is going to be much benefit, unfortunately. And the deliveryman, we would need an extra. Let's see, pumpkin, which we could probably get. Bean, which we're going to use up, unfortunately. White onion, which we could just about manage, but that's going to be 2 vegetables and again a bean. So I think unfortunately beans are a bit of an Achilles heel at the moment. We don't have enough of them, we don't have enough planting space. So never mind then. What we'll do is we'll swap out this pumpkin for a bean at our trader. And then we can service customers. This person is going to have to be unhappy, I'm afraid, for the next round, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that. Yeah, okay. So then, trading with our regular customers, so that's going to be 5, that's going to be 7, and this is also going to be 7. Like so. Okay, and we're done. So we're going to pass, we're going to spend 1 and then 15. Can we accommodate that? We can indeed. We can't unfortunately spend more than that, we don't have any more money, but never mind. And then that's money left over, which we could probably use to buy, well, we'll see. We're into the harvest phase, so final harvest. And you can tell it's the final harvest because our home card has now been used up entirely. And these ones want to go out. Unfortunately, we didn't see ploughman would have been possibly useful now if we had 1 vegetable left over for these, which wouldn't normally get to harvest anyway. But they have more than 1, so it doesn't come under the terms of the ploughman, unfortunately. But still, that's what we've got to use. And then we've got card phase, and unfortunately none of the, well, the single market trader doesn't have a bean available to him, so that's unfortunate. We've got wheat and pumpkin, we've got bean and radish, that's fine. We need an extra bean basically if we want to make use of the deliveryman card. I don't think we're going to be able to get this one sorted, so that's fine. Is there anyone in the helpers that allow us to do that? Trader, we could do that with the trader, but we would have to pay money for it. Okay. And exchange one of your market stalls for another player's market stall and refill both of them. That might be useful, actually. Huh. During the card phase, well, that's no longer any good, unfortunately. Refill your market stalls of vegetables, or sell. I think we want to make better use of our vegetables rather than selling them, but we could refill, which would get us the beans necessary. So market woman would be slightly cheaper, it's only going to cost us 1 coin, rather than the market crow, which is going to cost us 2. I don't see a use for any more customers. We don't have the relevant vegetables in order to get them filled. So I think we will indeed just spend 1 coin and we'll get the market woman and leave it at that. And that's probably the cheaper option. We could get one of these for free, but again, there's no point to it. It's just basically cluttering up our area. So we'll leave it there. These go away. And I don't believe there's technically a point to doing this since it's the last round, but we may as well do it for completionist's sake anyway. So done. We're going to have the market woman and she's going to come into our hand, and then we're going to start our action phase in which we're going to deliver for 5 coins. and we're going to deliver for 8 coins, and those guys are satisfied. And rather than mess around taking all this stuff off, since it's the last round, I'll just leave them as they are. And then we can't deliver to this person. I don't believe we can get the goods easily enough to make it worth it, so we'll leave them and they'll just have to go unhappy, but it is the last round, so they can, well, never mind. Now, if we make use of the market woman, we can exchange one of our market stalls for another player's market stall and refill them. Cards in the market stalls are revealed. Oh, okay, I see. Yep. Well, what we want to do is we want to drag down... what do we want to drag down? I don't think it matters too much. We just want to... Did I even need to buy this card? Was this a complete waste of a... It was a complete waste, actually. I was overthinking the situation entirely. Never mind. Oh well. We don't actually need to make use of the market one whatsoever. What we can simply do is make use of the deliveryman after buying a wheat, which is the cheapest, at 3. Then we can use the deliveryman to... Oh, no, I do need to do that. My bad. Yes, I do need to do that after all. So... we do need to use the market one, because what we're going to do is we're going to swap out this one, for example, with this one from our opponent. We don't necessarily need to make use of the refill, but what we have to do is bring this bean down in such a way that we can trade for it. So we exchange market stalls, the refill has happened, which is of not much consequence to us, but the exchange was the more important part, because now we can take this wheat and we can exchange it for this bean, like so. Then we can use the deliveryman to deliver to another player's regular customer, and we'll take our bean and our pumpkin, and they'll come up here and give us 5 coins. So slightly more than we would have had normally, which is not too bad. And then I think we're done. We have no more vegetables. We don't want to buy any more. That's not worth it. So we're finished. Ploughman didn't get used, unfortunately, but never mind. And we're going to go into the last Path of Prosperity part. So we're going to spend 1 and 17 this time round. So 1 and then 17, and we are up to step 17. We have some extra coins left over, but they aren't worth anything. And we're going to finish the game. So scoring in Gates of Loyang is very simple. You basically look at your Path of Prosperity. There is no extra steps or anything for having money left over. If you had achieved loan, or you had taken out some loans, then you would have had to move down a step depending on how many loans you'd taken, but we didn't do that. So we are at step 17. And basically in the solo game, it's simply, you know, how far ahead you can get. There is a bit in the back of the rulebook, if I can find it easily enough, which states that... Where's it gone to? No, that's not it. I think it simply states that basically step 17 and above is pretty much where you want to be. Yeah. So good players reach level 17, very good reach level 18, and masters reach level 19. I don't know what happens if you reach level 20 in the game, basically. But we got up to step 17, so I guess we can consider ourselves a good player. Yeah, I think step 17 is a pretty good score for Gates Loyang. And there you go. It's not too bad. I mean, basically, if you are interested in the kind of the harvesting of goods and delivering to customers game, this is entirely for you. It is centered pretty much exclusively around those 2 areas. There's some interaction with helpers and cars like that, but not too much. And I think the solo game, it differs from the normal game in that you can basically see what's coming up, and you can tailor yourself to what cards are going to come up in the card phase, which is a marked difference from the normal game in that it's all basically sort of blind cards from the card deck, and you have to basically play around other players. So there is a change in that, but I think it lends itself extremely well to trying to combo stuff together and make best use out of the vegetables that you get, and how to exchange them for stuff that you can effectively deliver. And it's just a very nice game, frankly. So there you go. Solo game of Gates of Loyang. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.